Gilbert Talks Taxes, because, as we all know, taxation with representation has not been such a good idea either. Those of you live streaming, www.wcab59.com, are watching me live in the Blue Room this 15th day of May at 8 a.m. prompt, sharp. We started the program today. Todd, my engineer this morning. Todd, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
The weather outside, 51.8 degrees here at the official Carolina Foothills weather station. I know we are. That's why I said that, Todd. Nothing but facts and truth come out of this program. WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9. My name is Gilbert Carmona. I am an enrolled agent. An enrolled agent is a person enrolled. My authority comes from the Internal Revenue Service to represent taxpayers in all kinds of matters, to prepare tax returns, and to otherwise help you with your financial life. I am your financial lifeguard. I swim in the bureaucratic seaweed with the barracudas at the IRS and the sharks at the banks and everything else I need to do to help you with your financial life, so you don't have to. Lately, that's been you can't even get the IRS on the phone. People have been coming to my office telling me they've been on hold for 3 hours, and then they get disconnected after they're on hold listening to that IRS music, that little song. No matter what IRS number you call, you will hear that little song. It's the same song. And you'll hear that. People are telling me 2 and 3 hour hold times. I tell them, you got to be kidding me. Why would you even call the IRS before the deadline, the day before the deadline, or the week before the deadline? The deadline is May 17th. It has been pushed. Actually, the deadline is today, May 15th. April 15th was pushed back 30 days for some reason, some vague reason that none of us have yet to figure out. There was no reason to do this, but they did it anyway. And it was only personal taxes. They didn't, states, trusts, everything else, business partnerships, S corps, they were all still due. C corps, they were all still due April 15th, March 15th, the deadlines for the S corps and the partnerships, and then April 15th for the C corps. It was only the individuals that got pushed back till May 15th. And because May 15th is on a Saturday, the proof is that I'm here this May 15th, and it is Saturday, they made it the next business day, which is Monday. So Monday the 17th is the last day. We're going to talk a little bit about that, what to do if you haven't filed yet, what to do if you owe and can't pay, what to do if you owe and can pay. We'll go ahead and talk about that too. We're going to talk about all kinds of things this morning. I'm actually going to talk about deceased taxpayers. Now, I had somebody in my office and said, I got to tell you, Gilbert, to listen to you at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning while I'm having a cup of coffee talking about death and taxes. She goes, that's just not a way to start a Saturday morning. I'm sorry, but it's the reality of what I do. That's what I talk about, death and taxes. And the two of them often go together, because even though a taxpayer is deceased, that taxpayer still has to file a tax return. I'm going to get into what to do about that. So, but Todd, maybe that's what I should call my next program, Coffee with Gilbert. How does that sound? Coffee time with Gilbert. So today is the last program for this regular tax filing season. So I will not be here next Saturday. So those of you that you'll just have to have your coffee without listening to me talking about death and taxes. But I will not be back next Saturday. We're going to go ahead and take a much-deserved break. We're going to be back at some point. I want to do more topics about financial planning, estate planning, death and taxes. I want to focus on that more. It's 1 hour is not a lot of time, as I've learned. When I first started doing this, the first season we were 30 minutes. Remember, Todd? That was a big mistake. I barely said hello, got into a few topics, and that was it. End of the program. And I ran no commercials, no air. It was me just talking for 30 minutes. And at the end of 30 minutes, you were telling me, you were giving me the 1 minute finger, and I was like, what? I just got started. I just took my second breath. And so then we said, let's do it in an hour. And I thought, well, what could I possibly talk about for an hour? Now I see why some of these programs are 2 and 3 hours. You barely get into the topic, and it's time to go till next week. But I want to talk some more about estates. I want to talk more about tax planning for estates, generational skipping tax. There's all kinds of things to talk about. Generation skipping tax, legacy, estates. There's a lot of topics there, and there's things I want to focus on and get more in depth than just the current, what's in the media now kind of a thing, which is, we kind of did that for a while, and that just kind of happened. It wasn't planned, but it just kind of happened because there's really is a lot of planning involved to this. That's financial strategies. And it's been very hard to do financial strategies when they change the laws in the middle of tax season, as we just had. March 11th, changed a lot of things we had done. But, we stay on top of it, and we just roll with it, I guess, I don't know any other way to say it. So I do want to come back and do that. Don't know when we're going to do that just yet, Todd, but you will be among the first to know, because you're the one that's got to stay here an extra hour to keep me company while I do this. Actually, Todd's the one who keeps us on the air, because if anything happened, I wouldn't know what to do. It would just be me here, alone. I want to start by thanking people, I guess. Let me get that over with, because I don't want to run out of time. I want to thank all the sponsors, all the people that have hung in there with me and have really loved what I do, all of you. And I want to thank all of you that have come to the office and had me do your taxes, had me help you with your problems, estate problems, whatever your financial problems. Those of you that have trusted me to handle your finances, I really want to thank you. And you met me through this radio program. You didn't know who I was before this, and you felt confident to come to me, and I can't thank you enough. All of you know who you are. I can't name you all, but I can't say thank you enough. And the people that have called with the one question, can I ask you a question? Listen to you on the radio. I have one question. And one question turns into a 10-minute phone call, but that's great. I've loved it. I've loved talking to all of you. And you tax professionals that are out there listening to me, and then you call me with your questions, that's fine. I like that too. And I know it's a tax professional because they call me up and say, I have a tax question. And I'll say, okay, well, IRC Section 63, Paragraph 9 says that. Are you a tax professional? Maybe. No, that's fine. You can call me. Thank you very much. And some of you have actually referred your tougher cases to me. Thank you. That's the sign of a person with ethics and integrity, to know when you don't know. And that's my college professor talked about honesty and integrity, and it's something that's lacking today. There was a quote in Mark Bond, a famous Wall Street person, made a quote one time, and he said, there's fraud everywhere. Fraud in government, fraud in education, fraud in schools. There's even fraud in sports. And it's everywhere. But for somebody to have integrity and honesty, that really means something. And for you to say, I don't know, you better go to somebody that does know. I want to thank you. I want to thank you, and I want to thank you for trusting your clients to me. And some of you know, if there's something I don't know, I will refer them to somebody who does. I won't do that. And before we take a quick break, I want to thank, I'm going to take a break early, Todd, because I got a topic I'm going to get into, and I'm going to need some time. I want to thank the man that brought the peony to the office yesterday. And it really was one of the most beautiful peonies we have ever seen. And he brought a peony to my office, and he said he doesn't cover his peonies. His wife doesn't make him get up at 1 o'clock in the morning to cover the peonies. I know. I told my wife, I said, look at how beautiful that peony is, and he doesn't get up at 1 in the morning to cover them. See, because that's when she remembers that it's time to cover the peonies. At about 1:15-ish, she remembers. And why didn't you think about this at 9 o'clock? Because what was the low last night? Did it ever get down below 40? They were talking about it. They were talking about it getting down last night. I said, honey, we don't have to cover the peonies. Don't worry about it. Look at that beautiful peony he bought, and he never covers his peonies. So I want to thank you for that, because that's now the new standard. But then, how does his wife know? How does she know that he loves her? Because I'll tell you, that's love right there. 1:15 in the morning, you put on them big fuzzy slippers and go outside and put sheets over the peonies. That's a guy that loves you, ladies. Okay? So I want to thank you for that, though. That really meant so much to us that you did that. And so many other people. I can't thank all of you enough. You know, I get up very early on Saturday morning to pull everything together to come and do this, and it really has been worth it. So I can't say enough thank yous to everybody. Okay, so let's take a quick break. Everybody go refill your coffee cups right now, and we're going to get back. And you know what we're going to talk about when we get back, Todd? We're going to talk about death and taxes. I'm going to get into it. Actually, let me start first with, the deadline's Monday. We're going to talk a little bit about that, what to do if you're not ready, and then what to do if you owe, and then what to do if you haven't filed prior year taxes. Okay, we'll be right back. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB, AM 590, FM 100.9.
Hi there, this is Kimberly, and I'm here to tell you about Peterson's Auto Service and Detail Shop. As a woman, I'm often apprehensive about taking my car to a dirty service garage. But you can be assured that Peterson's, located at 478 Butler Road, Forest City, has an incredibly clean and safe environment where you get high-quality service at a great price. Peterson's was voted Rutherford County's best auto service 3 years in a row. So take your car to Peterson's for brakes, oil change, North Carolina inspection, tire rotation, headlight lens restoration, scratch removal, and meticulous auto detailing. That's Peterson's at 478 Butler Road, Forest City. You can call him for an appointment at 245-8889.
This is Gilbert. If you owe the IRS past due taxes, don't call those toll-free national numbers. Local, affordable help is right here in Rutherford County. Stop garnishments, levies, and liens. Call Gilbert Carmona at 828-289-9300. All initial consultations are free. Call Gilbert, 828-289-9300.
We are back. Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB, AM 590, FM 100.9. Those of you live streaming us, www.wcab59.com. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for doing that. And those of you that will be catching me later on YouTube, they pick these videos up later. I've got some regular listeners later. They sleep in. They don't get up and have coffee with Gilbert. They get up, they sleep in, they listen to this later. Maybe I shouldn't say that that's even a possibility, because I want them to get up and have coffee with me in the morning. But those of you later, and I get phone calls from all over the country. It's been great. I've met some wonderful people. Thank you so much. Now, if you need to reach me, you need to call me. The office number is 828-289-9300. Or you can send me an email, gilbert@gilberttalkstaxes.com. I have two offices, one at 113 Whitesides Road in Rutherfordton. I have another office, 226 South Trade Street in Tryon, the beautiful Art Deco building right off the historic downtown Tryon. Now, I did not thank my two roadies that take care of me while I'm here at the office, here at the radio station. Canyon and Karen, they bring me my water. I would just be parched if it wasn't for them. I do want to thank them for everything they do. Being here every Saturday morning, that is great. The deadline, Todd. Oh, wait, Peterson. We still have that old commercial. We will get new commercials for next year. Next time, Peterson's got a new location. It's now Precision Detail and Tint at 620 U.S. Highway 64 in Rutherfordton. He moved there. The move took him a while, but he set that place up. It is beautiful. He's doing auto detail, swirl marks, acid marks, water marks. He does scratch removal, interior leather cleaning and conditioning, headlight restoration, ceramic coating. And if that's not enough, he does window tinting, commercial, residential, and automobile. He also does RVs and boats. It's that time of the year. Get the boat out of storage, get it over to Peterson, and have them make that thing look like new. And when you're in there, tell them Gilbert said, "Isso é fabuloso." That's Portuguese for "this is fabulous." The place is incredible. It's meticulous, Todd. I was there yesterday having him look at something on my car, and I was just so impressed. It's a beautiful place he's got there. Again, that is at 620 U.S. Highway 64. Give Peterson a call. Now, that taken care of. We've got to take care of business first, Todd. Take care of business first. The deadline, Monday. By midnight, your tax return has to be e-filed, or you have to do an extension. Those are your two options, one or the other. Now, if you do nothing, you will be late. If the IRS owes you a refund, and North Carolina, and whatever states you're in, for those of you that are picking me up on other states, if they owe you a refund, it's really no big deal. There's no penalties, there's no interest, there's no anything. You're just not going to get your refund. And if you have anything like a mortgage loan application or any kind of application for a loan, or FAFSA, you have children that are possibly going to college, or you're going to college, and your FAFSA, they're going to see that no tax return has been filed. But other than that, there's no ramifications, negative or otherwise, if you are owed a refund or you have a zero return, meaning you neither owed nor you're getting a refund. And there are people that, for whatever reason, and there's many of them, you have a zero return. Okay, but if you owe, Todd, that's a bad thing. That is a bad thing, because you have penalties for failure to file. You have penalties for failure to pay. You have interest on top of those penalties, and it racks up fast. It really does. If you can't pay, you know you're going to owe, you've already been told you're going to owe, but you can't pay, you still need to get that tax return filed. Okay? Filing an extension is only an extension to file. It is not an extension to pay. And there's some confusion with that. People will say, well, I don't have the money I owe. Go ahead and file an extension. But the tax return's ready. There's no new information we're going to get. There's no information you're waiting for. There's nothing else holding us up. We've got everything we need. You just owe, and you don't have the money to pay. Those are two completely different issues to the IRS. If your tax return is ready to go ahead and file it. Okay? If you cannot pay what you owe, the IRS, now this is what the IRS says. I'm going to tell you what the IRS says, and I'm going to tell you what Gilbert says. The IRS says you can request an additional 60 to 120 days to pay your account in full. Let's see if you can pay it in full through the online payment agreement, or you can call 800-829-1040. No user fee will be charged. Okay? Now, there is interest and there is penalty. Okay? They don't say that in their little thing here that they put on their website, but there is interest and there is penalty. What happens is, if you're going to request an installment agreement, there is a fee to do that. The fee is from $43 to $150, and there can be a waiver of it if you qualify, if you fall within certain income limits, income guidelines. You can get that waiver. You can get that fee either waived or partially waived to get it down to the $43. But there is a fee for setting up an installment agreement. It is not free. But if you just need a little more time, if you're just for whatever reason, some people, whatever. I can tell you 50 stories. You know, I've got several scenarios right now where the people owe some money because they some things happened last year, and I predicted this, Todd. I predicted this last year when people started pulling money out of their 401s and started pulling money out of their pensions. You know, the government said, okay, you can pull it. There will be no 10% penalty if you're under 59 and a half, and you can pull up to $100,000 out of your 401 and your IRA or whatever your deferred compensation, whatever you have, whatever plan you have that's tax deferred, you can pull money out. And people were having the minimum withholding because they weren't going to have that 10% penalty. But I was telling people, be careful, because it's going to put you in another tax bracket where if you're, let's say you're in a 12% tax bracket, normally that 100,000 could be enough to push you into the 22. And especially last year, a lot of people worked a lot of overtime. Even in the middle of everything that happened, in the middle of shutdowns and stuff, I had people that worked a lot of overtime because whatever, people in the medical field, they worked crazy hours and just whatever. There was a lot of things going on and people worked. So now they're in another tax bracket and they owe more. They got sandbagged. So now they're going to have to pull money out of, maybe they got to pull money out of a 401. They got to do whatever to get that money because they're finding themselves short. So if you just need a little bit of time, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to request anything. Just pay it as soon as you can. Pay the amount you owe. Then the IRS will send you a letter with interest and penalty for whatever little period of time you were late. So let's say the money's due Monday by midnight. Now, when I file the tax return, if you give me your routing and your account number, I can put it in the tax return. It is free to do this. There's no charge. And they will actually debit it from your account. And as long as it gets sent off to the server before midnight tomorrow on Monday night, the 17th, with that information on there, you're timely filed. There will be no interest and no penalty. But let's say you need another week, you need another 2 weeks, for whatever reason. Just go ahead and get your tax return filed on time, but go ahead and send that check as soon as you can. Then you'll get a bill for whatever interest and penalty there will be. You can ask for a penalty waiver, but you cannot ask for interest waiver. Interest by law cannot be waived. Penalties can, okay? But you have to request that. You have to be totally current with all your tax returns. You have to be totally current with all your debt to them. So you have to have paid it, and then you can request a penalty waiver. And there's a number of reasons why they can do it. Compliance, good compliance is one of them. You've never had one before. You can have one. North Carolina gives you one every 3 years just to give you one. It's a tax penalty mulligan. Those of you that golf know what a mulligan is. You get a tax penalty mulligan thanks to the NCDOR people over there. They must golf a lot in Raleigh, I guess. I don't know. So you get your one in 3 years, which is just for no reason at all. But you got to be current. Everything's got to be done, and they'll waive some of that penalty. But you get it paid, then you'll get that notice. Go ahead and pay the interest and the penalty. I can calculate what the interest and penalty might be, but I tell people don't worry about that. Just get them the minimum payment that you owe. If you're going to go as far as 60 to 120 days, just go ahead and do it. Get it to them. If you're going to be longer than 120 days, there's just no way you can get this money pulled together. I recommend you do an installment agreement, and there will be that $43 to $150 installment agreement fee. They tag that on to it. You don't have to pay it up front. They do take it out of the first payment or payments if you're making a smaller payment. They will go up to 7 years on this, okay, for an installment agreement. I tell people, take the minimum, because they'll say, well, I can pay this off in a year. Fine. You can pay it off in a year. Fine. Go ahead and set it up for as long as possible. That way you have the minimum, because things happen. That way you're safe. You can always pay extra. You don't have to stick to this plan. You can always pay extra. You can always pay it off early. And just know that if next year you get a refund and you're in an installment agreement, they will keep that refund and apply it to your debt. So all refunds will be kept and applied to the debt. What's important about an installment agreement, though, and I think the most important thing about an installment agreement is it stops liens, levies, and garnishments, and all those crazy letters that you get that just annoying, if nothing else. The computer just spits all these letters out to you every 30 days. There's a 60-day letter, you get a 30-day letter, you get all these letters that you owe this money, and they're going to levy you, lien you, garnish you, and all that. Once you're in an installment agreement, that stops all that stuff. The interest still accrues. You're still accruing interest, but at least you're in a plan. And I really recommend you set that up for auto debit, because you don't want to have the mail mess up your installment agreement. Because if they get it late, then it's a whole deal. And your installment agreement could actually default through no fault of your own. Just the mail was late and they didn't get it in time, or they routed it to the wrong department. I've heard too many stories. I've heard way too many stories. One man, they put it in default, and he brought me his bank statements and his canceled checks. He made every payment. They were applying it to the wrong account. They were applying it to they were applying it to the wrong tax years. I don't know why. I don't know how they did that, but they did. And in fairness to them, I mean, they've got, tens of millions of people in installment agreements. So to make it easy, do the auto debit thing. Have it come out of your bank account, checking account, savings account. And it's you can pick the day of the month between 1 and 28. You can pick a date in there, so something that suits your budget, and go with the minimum, and you'll be okay. You will be okay on that. Now, the IRS talks about seeing if you qualify for an offer in compromise, and I've had people call me. They have relatively small debts, and they want to know about this offer in compromise because, they don't want to pay the IRS anything. I had a man call and say, well, what kind of programs do they have for people who don't have any money? So, well, I said, you owe the IRS money because you made money. So it's hard to say that you don't have any money. You wouldn't owe taxes if you didn't make money. But they do have an offer in compromise program. Okay, offer in compromise, though, is a lengthy program. The average offer in compromise that I've had successfully put through has taken a year to get done. And it's not like you negotiate with them, because I get a lot of phone calls about this. I know those TV commercials make it sound like you can settle with the IRS for 10 cents on the dollar. People call me, well, I owe them $10,000 and I only want to give them $1,000. Well, I don't want to give them any, but that's beside the point. You still owe it. And it's how much you can afford to pay. It's an offer in compromise. You are making this offer, you're compromising because you don't have the money. Because you don't have the money, you have no money. You have to prove that. So you have to send them financial statements. You have to send them your income statements. You have to go through a whole list of your assets, and they do investigate. They do look into this. And if you have your house and you have more equity in the house than you owe, that's it. They'll just tell you, get a loan against your house. I had an agent one time. It wasn't me. The person had been talking to the IRS, and the agent told the lady, sell your house. And she meant it. Sell your house. You owe the IRS $60,000. You've got $200,000 equity in your house. Oh, because they said, well, can you get an equity line on your house? And the lady said, well, I don't want to do that. And the IRS agent said, well, if you don't want to do that, then sell your house. And to make sure they get their money, they liened the house to make sure that they got their money. So when the house sells, they're going to be the first ones to get paid. They actually get paid before the bank, okay, when they lien the house. So they've got top position. So offer and compromise is not for everybody. I do a pretty detailed questionnaire with you before I determine if you qualify for an offer and compromise, but it's not for just everybody. The IRS says 50% of the offer and compromises they get are immediately rejected. Now, I was told this by an agent in that department. They said most of them people fill them out and send them in, and they don't meet the criteria. So they get rejected, and then of the other 50%, the percentage that makes it through is very small. That gets accepted, it goes through. I haven't had that many of them, but if I don't think you qualify on the front end, I won't even waste your time filling out the form, because I know what their criteria is. And so the ones that I've submitted, I've been very fortunate and have gone through the whole process, and it's been able to help people. But these are people that have legitimate problems, health problems, bankruptcy problems, businesses that went out of business for whatever circumstances, and this was the only remedy. And they're usually people that owe a lot of money, and they are good and thorough. They're not just going to say, "Oh, okay, well, you owe us $50,000. We'll settle for $3,000 or whatever." It doesn't work like that. They are very thorough. One of them, they actually found a bank account that this man's business had opened and forgotten about 14 years ago. She called me because we were at this point. I'm already talking to an agent. I've got, I've got her number. She's got my number. So, because we say the IRS will never call you, but at my level, I'm dealing with agents, and they are calling me. They'll never call you, but they'll call me. So I'm on the. She called me, and she said, and we'll take a break right after this quick story. And she said, I was doing my due diligence on the file, and I found a bank account in New York that was opened 14 years ago, and had quite a bit of money in it. I mean, not a lot, but it had a good amount of money in it. And I said to her, I guarantee you this man does not know that he has that account. If he knew he had that account, he would have taken that money a long time ago. I said, his business has been struggling for about 5 years. And she said to me, I believe you. I believe what you're telling me because I'm looking at the history. I mean, she didn't just find it. She had the history. She had the complete breakout from the bank. She said the money was put in there as a one lump sum deposit, and it was never touched again. It's just been earning interest all this time. And so when I called the client, sure enough, they had opened it up. Him and the partner who had passed away had opened it up for some reason. They were going to do like a retirement plan or something, and then the company ran into financial trouble. He forgot all about it because it was the partner that did it. He forgot all about it, and that's how good they are, and they're thorough. And she actually had a remedy for what to do with that, and it was great. She's a very knowledgeable person. Okay, so those are your options if you can't pay. That is what you're going to do. Let's take a quick break. I'm going to talk about, when we come back, I'm going to talk about prior years. If you owe for prior years or you haven't filed a tax return in prior years, because you need to get current on this, especially if you owe and you want to get an installment agreement. They won't let you do that if you aren't current and you have years that you still owe. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 590 FM 100.9.
I want to tell you about a little-known Rutherford County gem, Integrity Marble and Granite, located at 287 Shiloh Road in Forest City. They are the premier stone fabrication company in the western North Carolina region. They specialize in granite, marble, and natural stone, offering complete design and installation. Their design center and Kohler showroom features vanities, decorative accessories, bathroom, and kitchen fixtures. You do not have to go to Charlotte or Asheville for this kind of quality. We have it right here in Forest City. Stop in their showroom and browse their beautiful displays, or you can call 828-247-8801 for a free quote. You can also go to their website, www.integritymarblegranite.com, and look at the pictures and see samples of their available materials. Now, mention you heard it on Gilbert Talks Taxes, and they will give you $100 off any sink purchase. That's Integrity Marble and Granite. This is Gilbert. I want to tell you about Jesse James Railroad Express at 531 Railroad Avenue in Rutherfordton. It's a great place. Jesse's a good friend of mine, and I encourage you to stop by and support him. On Mondays, he's doing a 99-cent hot dog, mustard, chili, and onions. When you go, tell him Mr. Fabulous himself sent you.
We're back. We're back. Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 590 FM 100.9. Those of you live streaming Gilbert Talks Taxes on the internet, www.wcab59.com. Here in the blue room, we are looking great. Did I talk about how fabulous my hair? My hair really does not look fabulous this morning. I've got that 4-month accountant, 4 months of not being out in the sun accountant look. going on. Yeah, now that it's getting lighter later, we walked out of the office and it was still light out. I was going to walk back in and keep working. I wasn't used to. I'm not used to coming out in the sunlight. It was a new experience for me. Good thing I got windows. Did I say? Let me back up 1 second before I get into the next topic. So if you're going to extend, okay, so you file a tax return. Talked about that. You can't pay. Talked about that. What are your options if you can't pay? Talked about that. I didn't finish. Let me finish. If you're going to file an extension, you can file an extension with some money, or you can file an extension without some money. Either way, if you're not going to file that tax return by Monday at midnight, you better file an extension. Filing an extension is free, costs nothing. We do it right in the software electronically, and we file an extension in North Carolina, and the IRS gets done at the same time. Now, South Carolina and many states, I have a whole list of states. I have clients all over the United States, so I have to keep up with all this. But South Carolina, which many of you work in South Carolina, live in North Carolina, but work in South Carolina. South Carolina, you do not file a South Carolina extension as long as you file a federal extension and your federal extension is accepted. So if you file that 4868, that's the IRS extension form, as long as you file that and you're good to go on that, South Carolina will accept that. Now, if you're going to pay some money to South Carolina, then yes, you do file an extension with some money. Actually, it's called a request for an extension. It's automatic. They're going to accept it. You're not requesting anything. You're pretty much telling them the way it is. And you've got that extension that extends you until October 15th. Okay, October 15th. It extends you till. And then at October 15th, that's it. There is no more fooling around. It's that you gotta file a tax return, or you are definitely late. Okay, so if you're gonna pay some money, just look at last year. Typically, my people know who they are. The people that file extensions every year, their business, they're just busy people. Most of them, it's not that they're just procrastinators. Most of them, they're busy. Typically, it's better for them to slow down and look at this in the middle of summer, or even late summer. Especially like my landscapers and my carpenters, my contractors, people like that. They're very busy right now, so they would rather wait. So they'll go ahead and send an extension. They'll go ahead and send a payment with this extension based on prior year. If you paid too much, you'll just get it back as a refund. If you didn't pay enough, there will be a small penalty, and it is very small, for not estimating enough taxes. So, but if you're going to owe, you might as well send something. Okay, so those are your options. Now. Before I get into talking about death and taxes, which I'm going to get into death and taxes here, to request a payment plan or to pretty much do anything, to get a penalty waiver or anything, you have to be compliant. To be compliant, all your tax returns have to be filed. Okay, timely filed. That's pretty much the requirement for any kind of abatement or any kind of payment plan or any kind of favoritism, offer and compromise. If you're going to try to do an offer and compromise, you have to be current. Everything's got to be filed. And again, they will look back to the beginning of time to make sure, as current as far as they can go back, and that they show no open loops. And this gets into the topic of, what if you had a zero return? Should you file a tax return? We used to say no, especially older people that are just on Social Security. They have a zero return, so we say, well, you don't have to file a tax return. But now with identity theft, we're saying it's a really good idea to file a tax return, even if it's a zero, because it gets that Social Security number locked down. Nobody can steal your ID, and if you do have an ID theft issue, we will know it, because when we file that return, it will come back that somebody's already filed a return using your social, using that same social and name match, they call it. So we know we got a problem here. So that's a good thing to do, even with a zero return. Now, North Carolina, they like to see returns filed every year, whether it's a zero or not, especially when you get into this compliance of an installment agreement and all that. So does the IRS. And like I said earlier, if it's a zero return, there's no penalty. There's no harm for not filing a return. If they owe you a refund, and you don't file a tax return, no problem. You're not going to get a letter from them. You're not going to get anything from them. They owe you a refund. It's funny, if you owe them money, you're going to get letters. But if they owe you money, all you hear is crickets, nothing. So, okay. Now, you go back and you file those returns the best you can. If you don't have the information, you can always get an IRS transcript for whatever year. That's usually the first thing I do, especially if people tell me, especially if it's we're going back a few years and you're not sure, you don't remember. There may be a 1099-R, there may be a 1099-G for unemployment. There may be, who knows, some loose ends out there. It's good to get a transcript. It's good to get a transcript from the IRS. That way you see what they have in their computer on you for that year. Now, these transcripts only go back so many years, and then the information just starts to fall off where they're not tracking it anymore. But that's a good place to start. And then just get those tax returns done and get them current. I like to call them for a compliance check, talk to them, and see what years they're showing, they're flagging, and get those done right away. You don't have to go back really far unless you really want to. I just usually do what they're telling me to do, because they will have a laundry list of what they want done. Now, let's say you don't file a tax return this year, you owe money. What's going to happen? Okay. If you fail to file a tax return, after a few years, they will do what's called a substitute return. So the IRS is not just going to send you a bill saying, hey, you owe us, whatever, you owe us money. They're not going to send you a bill. What they're actually going to do is, so an employer or employers send W-2s or 1099s to the IRS. It's in the computer. No tax return comes into the computer, and it makes a match with this income reported. The computer will, and it's all done by computers. I tell people no human eyes have seen this. Okay? This is all done by computers. The computer will do what's called a substitute return. Okay? So if you fail to file, the IRS, they may, again, if it's a small amount, it depends on a few factors, but typically this is what they do. They will file a substitute return. The problem with the substitute return is they don't know anything about you. All they know is that they got a W-2 for this name and this social, and that's it. They don't know if you're married. They don't know if you had a household. They don't know if you have any dependents. So they just take the straight up data, file you as single with zero dependents, no exemptions, no credits, no nothing. And if the computer says you owe money, you're going to get a letter. You're going to get what's called a CP 3219. That's a notice of deficiency. Officially, it's called the CP 3219N, Todd. We just call it the 90-day letter, because you have 90 days to respond to it. And this is really, now this letter is just proposing an assessment. And this is where I see a lot of people get in trouble, right here. They get this letter, and it's from the IRS, so they immediately throw it out. I don't know why. Because the follow-up letter, so if you do nothing to this letter, you don't respond, you don't take action on it, okay, after 90 days, the next letter you get is the statutory note. You get a statutory notice of deficiency. That's the letter, that's the bad one, okay, statutory notice of deficiency, and that's the one where now they've assessed it. You're now assessed this. Now it's a whole different battle. When you get that first 90-day letter, that's the time to do something about it immediately. Okay? What do? We file a tax return. Many people that bring me that letter, they just forgot. I don't know how you forget to do a tax return, but they just forgot, or they didn't do it, or they thought it had been done. I've actually had quite a few of this where a tax preparer went out of business, and the people, I had this because it happened in Polk County. This tax preparer was in Polk County, went out of business and literally just disappeared, just was gone. And people thought their tax returns had been done. But I said to him, but you didn't get your refund. You didn't do, did you not follow up? No, well, we thought it was done. We thought it was taken care of. I said, did you sign anything? No. Well, why did you think it was taken care of? Anyway, they didn't follow up, and so they got these letters. So I have to compile the data, and when I did it, they in fact did not owe. They in fact got refunds, and they got substantial refunds. Now, to claim refunds, you have to claim them within 3 years. This gets me to the next thing. So you get this letter, 90-day letter, and then you got to claim the refund. You've only got 3 years from the return due date. So like today or Monday, today, it's really today, but Monday, it's been extended until Monday, is the deadline for 2020 tax returns. Okay? But it also draws the curtain on going back 3 years, on 2017 tax returns. So after Monday, you can't go back, unless you extended, you can't go back and file a claim for credits for 2017 and older. Okay? So that's why these dates are so important, and taking action is so important. There are people that miss out on claims. I talk about it every year. The IRS says there are, 6 billion, trillion, zillion, whatever dollars. It's an arbitrary number that nobody really knows, because nobody really knows, because it's just a guess of from their data of how many people did not file these claims. But every year, all this money's left on the table. The average refund being around $2,900 that people don't claim. They let it just lapse. They don't get it. So 3 years, that's why filing these is so important. You don't want to lose that right to claim that refund. So you have 3 years. That's child tax credit. That's earned income tax credit. That's education credits. All those credits fall into that 3-year umbrella. Okay, let's take our last break. Todd, we've got one more, right? You got one more queued up in there? Let's take our last break, and it is literally our last break. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB, AM 590, FM 100.9.
As we get ready for this year's tax season, there's one thought on everyone's mind. Will Gilbert's hair look fabulous this year? Oh, yes, it will. How can I say that? Because I go to Robin Saunders at RSL Salon. Whether it's a good haircut, a pedicure, or a manicure, you can count on RSL Salon. Call Robin at 828-289-9110 because everyone deserves to look fabulous. People come up to me and say, Gilbert, thank you for doing my tax return, and thank you for getting me that big refund. Do you have any ideas what I can do with that refund? Oh, yes, I do. Take that refund right over to NC Tractor and Farm Supply, talk to Phil, get you a brand new shiny red Massey Ferguson. That's NC Tractor and Farm Supply, Railroad Avenue. You can call Phil at 828-429-5008. By the way, mention you heard it on Gilbert Talks Taxes. I'm hoping he'll give me a discount when I go buy my brand new shiny Massey Ferguson tractor.
Gilbert Talks Taxes. WCAB, AM 590, FM 100.9, and my hair looks kind of fabulous. I'm going to have to go see Robin. It looks kind of fabulous. And I still haven't got my tractor, Todd. People ask me if I got my tractor. I haven't. For my vast 2-acre estate. I just can't convince my wife to give up her parking spot in the garage. Is the problem. I got to find a place to park it. She's not parking the caravan and outside in the rain. Sorry. And I tried telling her how nice it would look in the garage, but she can't. For my vast 2-acre estate. That's okay. I have people to do. I have people to do the lawn. Because actually, now next Saturday I'll be able to do the lawn. I won't have. I can't wait. So this is the last program of the season that we're doing. And I already thanked everybody, but I can't thank everybody enough. I really can't. I'm actually going to miss doing this. I'll probably wake up at 6 o'clock next Saturday morning. Because that's what I did last year. I woke up at 6 o'clock, and my wife said, what are you doing? I said, I don't know. I went back to bed. Okay. deceased. Help me with this word, Todd. Deceased persons, dead people. Thank you, Todd. Todd always cuts right through it. Oh, wait a minute. I got to talk. Got a phone call yesterday. Got a phone call yesterday. I got to talk about this real quick. Oh, Todd, you're going to let me know when I got two minutes, right? Okay. So I guess it's in the media, or there was a media story. I refuse to watch the media. I'm not watching the media. There's just nothing to see. Anything I need, I find myself on the internet. And so I guess there's been some stories about the people that filed their tax returns before the government waived the unemployment. Okay, the $10,200. So I guess there was a story that they're getting ready to start sending those checks out, Todd. That story just was yesterday because they called me. They just heard it. And they wanted to know if it applied to them. And I said, well, yes, it does apply to you. We have reached out to some people. Apparently, he didn't get the message, or maybe he did. I don't know. Because he vaguely remembered me saying something about it after we talked about it a little. So what happened is, for those of you that filed your tax return before they waived the $10,200 per taxpayer on the tax return of unemployment income, they said if you already filed your tax return, the IRS is going to go ahead and mail you a refund, okay? Because you're going to have a refund coming. But the refund is not the same for everybody. So he said that the media was saying that the average refund is going to be $1,500 to $2,500 and all these numbers. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I mean, not, and it's not, it depends on how much unemployment you got. I mean, there were some people that just got a couple of $100. They were laid off, or the place closed down for a week or two or three. I mean, many people got less than $1,000. So it's not this big game changer. I mean, if you're in a 10% tax bracket and you're being waived $1,000, your refund's going to be a whopping $100. And when I told him, oh, that was nice. Somebody just called and said, thank you. Can't thank you enough. Can't wait till you come back on the air. Well, I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. They took the time to call the station, Todd. That's loyalty there. Thank you so much. So that's not for everybody. So anyway, the media broke the story, and he called. He said that the checks are supposed to be in the mail. I said, well, actually, the checks were supposed to be in the mail May 1st. They were supposed to be sending them May 1st. Here we are, May 15th. And I don't know of anybody that has gotten a check yet. And when you go to the IRS website, there isn't any mention of it at all. It's not a mention. So I don't really know what's going to happen. Everything's been pushed back, though. They were supposed to have the portal for the advanced child tax credit. That was going to be open June 1st. That's now July, August-ish. Okay? That's the best the guy said. He kind of got July and August together in one word as he was giving them a deadline. It was really classic bureaucracy when you hear him speaking. So we don't know. We just don't know. But what we're telling everybody is, do not file an amended return. The IRS said, please do not file an amended return. Amended returns take 6 months to process, and it will mess up your thing, your refund, if you're in fact are getting one. So what we're telling people to do is, when you get that check, if you're one of my clients, when you get that check from the IRS, and I've gotten other phone calls, is it going to be a check or direct deposit? We don't know. They haven't said. Okay, let's just get the thing processed. We'll worry about how you're going to get it later. They haven't even started processing these as far as I can tell. So when you get the check, call me and let me know how much the check was for. What I'm going to do is I'll figure it out in the tax return, because we have to do a whole other tax return. We have to start all over and recalculate all the credits, recalculate everything. So, I mean, we already have the data in there. It's not that big a deal, but it is work, and it does take time. We're going to have to do it for every person. So we'll look at it and make sure they gave you the right amount, because this could affect credits, and the IRS already said we have no way of calculating all the credits. So we will try to do our best, they said, based on the information we have, and we'll send you this check. So I will reconcile it If it's correct, if it's the right amount of money, you're good to go. If it's not correct and they owe you more money, we're going to have to do an amendment. Okay? But like I just said, you're going to have 3 years to claim that. So it's not like it's got to be done right away. You're not going to lose this, okay? So I wanted to talk about that because now the phone, I will know when they start because people will be calling me. So I'm going to know. Yeah. And I've already put it out there to enough people that I know are going to get some money back because we had quite a number of people. And, this raises all kinds of questions. I'm going to oh, it's easy to get on a subject, isn't it? This raises all kinds of questions because now, if you're one of my clients, I'm going to take care of you and I'm going to do this for you. I'm not going to charge you any more money. But there are some firms that have already said, who's going to pay us to do this? Especially if you have a big, complicated tax return that needs a lot of review. It's the IRS. It wasn't your fault. We have no plans on charging our clients. We're just not. At this point, we're not. I don't think it's going to be. We kind of already ran through some scenarios, and we're seeing that we should be able to do this pretty simply, pretty straightforward. I've already identified all the ones that are going to do this, and it's quite a few. But who's going to pay for this? Because it is an amended return. It does take time, and there's processing time. There's follow-up phone calls, follow-up letters. This is going to be interesting, to say the least. Okay, but right now, wait till you get that check. That's what we're doing. Okay, let's talk about dead people, as Todd said, the last 3 minutes. Talk about dead people. Well, as the person who was in my office said, well, you talk about death and taxes on the radio, and your office is right in front of the cemetery. So it's just very appropriate. It all kind of goes together. So, believe it or not, a dead person still has to file a tax return. Of course they do. They have to file a tax return. It's the final tax return that they file. And this is very important for several reasons. Each year, all my fans all of you out there, thank you, at Washburn Store, thank you. They're going to miss me. I'll be back. I will be back. We're just going to take a little break, and we want to do something, and I want to really talk about some of these other topics. But thank you so much for listening. That really means so much to me. You need to file, and we've been talking about estates, deceased tax matters a lot because we've had a lot of people die this last year. And that's one of the things that comes with, Rutherford County has really become a retirement destination. And I personally think that's great. We've had a lot of people move here, people to retire here. It's a great place to live. The quality of life here is super high. It really is. We take it for granted. Polk County has always been, especially Tryon has always been a destination for retirement, as a retirement community. So nothing new there. That's kind of normal there, but really this whole area has expanded, and we're getting more and more of it. And personally, I think it's great. We've met great people that have moved here from other places and have just fit right in, and they love it here, and they're glad they came here. But what comes with that, you have people pass away, and it's just what happens. So these trustees, I've been helping these trustees. Now, whether you're an executor, a fiduciary, a trustee, whatever the word is, 1 minute, Todd, 1 minute, really? I've got 1 minute left. 1 minute. Okay, I got 1 minute. So remember this, you people that are trustees, fiduciaries, you have to file a tax return for that person. That is one of your duties, and it's very important that you do that. It used to be, well, for one thing, they're probably going to get a refund. If they have to file a tax return, it's usually because they had pensions or they had retirement, some kind of retirement income, and there was withholding, typically, if they're filing tax returns. But ID theft is incredible. And believe it or not, there is a whole group of people that targets deceased people. And I always tell people, when you're writing those obituaries, please do not put birth dates, addresses, mother's maiden names. Don't give these guys ammunition. I've read these obituaries and I just cringe. Literally, you have just given away. The only thing missing was the Social Security number. You know? The only thing missing, and I know we don't think that way because you're not a person that does ID theft, so you don't think, but people that do. So it's really important for them to file that last tax return. If you don't have all the data, you can get the information from the IRS, you can get a transcript, but you have to prove that you are the fiduciary entitled to a transcript, and you have to get letters testamentary. Todd, how's that for your legal phrase of the day? Letters testamentary. And the IRS, and you fill that out with Form 56, which is Notice Concerning Fiduciary Relationship. You get that to the IRS, and you can actually get their transcripts, and you can file their tax return. Now, right now, I'm filing a bunch of extensions for some people that have passed away, only because the fiduciaries are still pulling things together. And fiduciary stories, I have got them, but I'm out of time. And I cannot thank everybody enough. And with this encouragement, all the phone calls I just got, we are going to come back on the air, Todd. So you're going to lose your sleep too, okay? You're going to be right here with me every Saturday morning. I can't. Yeah, well, we're done covering peonies now, buddy. Till next year. Okay, this is Gilbert signing off, but not for the last time. Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9.